Hello there, and welcome to the Invention stream. We're getting very cozy here. I don't really know what's happening. So, as you may be aware, we're up against Boaty at the moment, who's at about 21k, 23k watches. So we've got no hope, really. If you're watching us, congratulations, you're one of the few. No, not at all. We're gonna go in depth on Invention today, and a little splash of high-level mobs, so Wyverns, obviously came out this week,
yep.
And a little bit on Falador as well, so chat a little bit about that. So who we got on the sofa?
Hello.
You were still here, weren't you?
Yeah,
mentally you were still here.
I was still thinking about that longing.
This is how we work.
It's how we work, yeah. It's
That's
how
it.
every design meeting ends up.
Yeah, it's knowledge shared via osmosis.
Yeah.
Osmosis. Oh, it works. Anyway, sorry.
Sorry, I'm Mod Timbo, Killer of Trees and Ninja.
I'm Mod Stew, Senior Content Developer.
Mod Rowley, Content Developer.
Mod Raven, Lead Content Developer.
All right, so as is usual, if you want to get your questions answered, then hashtag RSDevQA, send them over and we'll answer those bad boys. And it's also worth noting that I think for the first time we're doing a stream directly after this stream. So we're crossing the streams. We're going to see if it works. We're going to have me and Mod Manti teaching me how to PK. I like how people on social media are doing sweepstakes on how many times I die, not how many times I kill people.
43.
So currently 43 is a favourite, but
In an hour?
in an hour, how many times will I die?
More than that.
107.
Yeah.
That's so harsh. I've got skills.
Yeah, cooking skills.
And it's also worth noting that this is the first of two, potentially more live streams on Invention. So there will be more, as you develop more content for it, have more to show. We'll do another one in around December time. Perhaps, maybe. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so first of all, I want to chat about Wyverns, if that's all right.
Yes.
Mr. Raven.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
So we have our sentiment reports that come in
Yes.
like every week, and a number of people were commenting on, like, are they too hard for the amount of drops you get?
So, are they too hard?
As in, is it too expensive to fight them? And
Well, are they too hard? I'm going to say no. We want them to be difficult. We want them to be tough. We've seen numbers of players who have worked out their way of doing it, and some people are getting, quite good at murdering them. Disappointingly good at murdering them, if I'm honest. Maybe we need to make them tougher. The drops are maybe not quite as good as we'd like.
Yeah.
We're giving it a bit of time first before we would look at changing them.
This is it, because people get to a point where they can do it quickly, and
Yeah,
we want to know what that
yeah.
kind of
We want to know what that
average
thing
time
is. If we do everything, if you do immediate,
Yeah.
we need to change the drops after it's been out a day. It's not great.
But it just shows how kind of quick to the point that we are, that we've actually got some stuff coming through. We're looking at it and we're seeing that
we've got
average,
the numbers. They're not what we originally had expected. So again, wait a bit, see if the numbers go up when they
might
kill
do a
them
buff on the
faster.
drops. Common
And
drops
we
mostly.
might. We might.
What's wrong with my
Keyword
drops?
might. But.
What's wrong with your drops?
Yeah, I made those.
You're just too cheap. You're too cheap, man. I'm sorry.
Too balanced.
Too balanced.
I think
needs more trees.
Yeah, I think Mod Raven's right. Like, we need to just wait.
Yeah.
As soon
Nothing
as
knee-jerk.
as soon as people can kill them, they're fine. Plus, the crossbow's worth loads.
It's a small
Yeah.
point, but as well, Invention's coming soon,
Yeah.
and that's going to help a little bit too.
Yeah, possibly increase the speed of them, I
So
guess.
we have to be wary.
Yeah, but with the other comment that we're seeing a lot of was like how to gauge the kind of heat of a player. Am I too cold? Am I too hot? And some people are having trouble figuring that out. Is there anything we're doing with that?
Well, see, we're talking about, again, we're not going to do, just spoiler, we're not going to do anything on it for a while. We want to wait, see, get an idea of what people like when they get comfortable with it, and then we'll look at it. I'm not sure that, there have been talks of taking the temperature gauge from the beach.
Yeah.
I'm not personally convinced by that. I think that's too in your face.
It's huge as well.
It's huge as well. I think it's the idea that people see now and go, oh, that sounds good now. But once you get playing it a while, it will just become irritating in a way.
Yeah. We're hoping that things are going to be second nature. I mean, that overlay was there to be, that very subtle.
We might tweak the current overlay a bit. I've been talking about maybe tweaking the temperature icon a bit.
Yeah.
And I think those are slightly more subtle, less in your face, and we can do something with them. But like I said, not yet. We'll see we'll see people fare.
Okay, so I'm going to rattle through some of the other ones because we've got quite a few questions, but I'll go quick. Will the Raptor cosmetic armors be discontinued after November?
The current theory, well, they won't be removed from people, but you won't, at the moment, be able to get them after November. We are, however, talking about putting them into the chest, for example.
Right,
so
gotcha.
That's officially no, but we might change that.
Yeah, might backtrack. Are the Raptor tasks for 1 month only, or will they continue after November? That's from Wahatuhaha.
What?
WH2HH, but I prefer Wahatuhaha.
No,
forgotten the question now.
tasks won't be available after November. They're only for November.
Right, okay. So it's important to remember the Raptor is temporary.
The Raptor is temporary.
The mobs
are
permanent.
not, and the
all drops.
the chest and keys will remain afterwards. It's just literally the Raptor tasks will not be, and Raptor.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he'll be around somewhere.
We'll have a little bit of
not here.
narrative in there as well, just to explain all of this. Cool. Will you be able to tell us what the drop rate of the new Tier 85 weapons is?
Will I? Yes. Will I actually tell you? No. They're pretty rare.
Yeah.
I don't like giving out exact numbers because there's no value in that, but they are quite rare.
Okay.
But obtainable.
I can't remember what they're at the moment. Are they like 60 mil at the moment or something like that?
Last time I checked, around that.
Yeah.
They were up to 90 mil on release.
Cool. So if you've got one of those, good job.
100 mil for one of them, which just seemed ridiculous, but yeah.
Yeah. Regarding the recent Elite Mob update and the next few, why did you decide to make the weapons obtainable off task? That's from Primal Moose. Yeah, Timbo.
Why is that one going to Timbo?
I don't know. I just felt like looking
Mod
at
Raven.
Raven.
I think you just want to look at
involved.
Timbo. We wanted to make the weapon rare, but not ridiculously rare. And if you think about it, if you have to be on task, you have to get the RNG of getting the task and then do it. And that just seemed a bit too much.
Is that the case with all of the future mobs as well? Will it be the same for the other?
It'll be the same for the.
Cool.
At least is planned to. We might retcon that because there's all things we might retcon things, but at the moment the plan is
sentiment and that sort of thing. Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
we will in the future make some things that are task only.
Yeah.
Like the Abyssal Wand and Orb and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. Sirius Lee was making the Raptor a Slayermaster-ish, inspired by the current leading idea on Rune Labs. So is that Wandering Slayermaster?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the back of our minds it was probably there, but I think the important thing to remember is I think we really quite like the Wandering Slayermaster idea, so we wouldn't want people to feel that it's never going to happen now.
Yeah, because of this. I think it wasn't directly inspired by it. It was, I think, at the back of our minds, as you said. But I think we kind of wanted to use the Raptor anyway.
Yeah.
We wanted that thing to tie it all together, and the Raptor is
basically we had a number of mobs that we knew we wanted to do over the course of November, and it was like, right, well, how can we kind of bring them all together?
Yeah.
And we kept on coming back to Raptor.
Yeah.
You know, he, she, it looks great.
Yes.
So, you know, cool.
And is also a good theme character for murdering the hell out of things.
Yep, that's it. Being a little bit grumpy at it. I've got a question here. What are you working on next? You're coming to the end of the mobs.
Yeah. Well, I've got a few mob things left.
Yeah.
To tie up, but after that, I'm working on Nomad's Elegy. Da, 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 da.
So, for those who weren't at RuneFest,
Yep.
what would we say at RuneFest?
What did you say?
Nomad's
I can't
Elegy
remember.
is
I
the
was
next of the sort of God Quest series.
I wasn't.
And it's dealing with, unsurprisingly, Nomad and weird stuff he's doing in the underworld. I'm trying to remember exactly what we said at RuneFest. And not just because I've been pitching the design a lot recently.
There was a lot of kind of meeting up with friends, wasn't
Yes.
it? The kind of yes.
Sorry. Meeting up with your friends who have long since passed.
Yes, and knowing
not
Raven,
at all horrific,
killing
cruel
people
things
who are already
happening.
dead. Yeah, but we've had great fun. We brainstormed today, didn't we? And I've seen the design doc. It's looking pretty cool.
Yeah, it's coming along, and I'm having
you keep
fun.
grabbing people you want to work with, as in like characters you'd like to include.
And then finding ways to torture them. I mean, give them lovely, happy lives, afterlives.
So this might be the point where we don't talk to you at all again for the rest of the stream. But sit there anyway and just watch and see what happens. Maybe you can lob in an insult. So the next bit is Falador. So obviously he's just come out of the game. One of the things we talked about was like letting people know how supported the Black Knights and White Knights were. So we kind of had a look into this, haven't we? We've got some information to give over. Do you want to go over it? Shall I?
You go.
Yeah, ahead. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, drum roll. The number of people, percentage of people supporting the White Knights is 78%. Number of people supporting the Black Knights was 22.
Wow.
In terms of all of those actions, we're talking catapults, healing, the combat, champions and the balloons. All of these actions contributing. And there were some other things in there that if you were a Black Knight supporter, you spread it nice and evenly. So a third got their commendations from catapults, a third got their commendations from healing, and a third from combat, pretty much. Balloon dropping was only a little part of it. But if you were a White Knight supporter, you just killed Black Knights. You just wandered in there and you wailed on them. 86% came from combat, which I think says a lot about Saradominus.
Yeah. Hashtag stop Saradomin.
Yeah, this is it. Brutal. So what do you think of that, Stu?
It's not entirely surprising because we did have a significant number of Black Knights at the North Gate near the Lodestone. So in terms of sheer convenience, that was going to be a likely swaying.
I kind of just like to look at the surface of it and the evil, bloodthirsty Saradominus. But no, of course, you're right. If you drill it down, it's all about locations and convenience and things like this. Absolutely. So there we go. I hope you had a good time stabbing Black Knights. Okay, so on to Invention. So we've got two of the team, the two of the Guardians.
Yeah, we're working away on it right now. Well, not right now, but
right now.
The rest of the team are doing it while we're lazy down here.
That's it, taking the load while you're not working. And you've been working with them on balancing.
I have been, yes.
And elite skills, obviously.
Elite skills.
You're Mr. Elite Skill.
That was my design, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to go through some of the questions. So RD Ranger, could you give a brief synopsis of Invention and how it works?
Sure, we can do that. We can recap mostly RuneFest. Invention is an elite skill. You're going to need 80 crafting, smithing, and divination before you can even start to train it. It's a 120 level skill, and the kind of how do you want to go over this? Kind of like the breakdown of how you train the skill.
Yeah,
roughly?
I mean, the way I've always described it is in the two parts because it's easier to break it down in those two kind of parts.
Yeah, the two prongs. So like there's two main things we're going to have on launch, which is going to be a perk system, and the second prong is devices, which would be unique inventions that you can use generally for other skills.
That's it. You're manufacturing new things, just like you would in other manufacturing.
It's like crafting plus, smithing plus, but these are crazy, wacky things that
have their own mechanics. You've got flash bombs that we've shown already and cyber chimp chompers.
But we're still trying to keep in theme of that kind of Renaissance level of technology. So probably to go a bit more into depth about perks as the system. The start of that is disassembly, which is the main item sync. So pretty much anything in-game that you can alch, plus a few things that you can't alch, you will be able to disassemble into materials. And then materials can be used to generate perks on what we're calling augmented items. And the sorts of things you can augment will be armor, like bodies and legs.
Yeah.
And
they're kind of popular tier 70 plus?
70 plus.
70 plus,
Pretty much everything 70 plus.
Yeah.
There may be a few exceptions.
And we've gone for that because you're going to be 80 in smithing and crafting and divination. You're probably going to be a top end of combat. There's no point us doing anything lower than that. Really focus.
Even that's quite a lot. We've got 150 plus pieces of gear that we're going to have.
He's still slapped in rubber chickens and things like that.
A few jokey ones in there
indeed.
too.
And there's more being released because of high level mobs.
Yeah, indeed. Cheers, Raven. And defenders.
And defenders.
People keep adding stuff, just not considering us. Just keep putting more weapons in the game.
I'm sure.
We're not doing it. No way in hell the Ninja team are doing that.
But how is it all coming along? Is it going well? Is it done?
It's not done. We're making steady progress.
Yeah.
The core of the skill, the sorts of things that you'd expect, like it shows up in the skills tab. We have a skill cape. We're not showing it yet. You can level it up.
Yeah.
And all of those kind of core features that you need are there. All of the core interactions are well underway. So disassembly works, discovery works, which is how you find new inventions, these devices. Perks, that as a system works, and we've been working mostly on creating perks for launch. And
so it's fair to say that when we get to the next live stream, you'll be hopping onto the computers, giving us a show of some things that you'd like to.
We'll show some stuff off, I think.
We've also got some hidden
stuff. The
stuff.
later stream.
Yeah.
Some things we don't want to show off because as a skill, generally we want it to be discovered by players. We want them to explore it and to find out all these hidden little things that we're putting in.
And of course, it's not only positive perks and negative perks. We've got some kind of quirky other things that we don't want to show because they're just really weird.
Yes, I had a really strange couple of weeks of development, just putting in some so weird perks. I tweeted about those a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we won't go into those into detail. We'll let players find those.
And it's worth mentioning when it's being launched. We mentioned it at RuneFest, but do you want to?
We've been told it's been launched in January.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
somehow
is.
we'll do that.
Now, it's probably worth talking a little bit about how it's going to be launched. In that sorry, I'm just going to take over a little bit here. But we're going to launch it in January. But because there are so many permutations of perks, you can have a number of perks on an individual item. We're not going to call it a beta, but it's almost like there's that period of time where we're just going to see what people make, and it might be that we have to dial down or dial up some things. So there's going to be a 2-week period when we're going to just kind of play around with those perks, and then after those 2 weeks are up, we're going to throw some additional perks out there as well. Yeah. Some additional invention stuff.
Yeah, so for that initial launch, we're not going to have too much depth. We're going for breadth. So we can then get some live data from players after they've become accustomed to the skill, after they've explored it a little bit, and we can see the sorts of things that they use more, which then lets us spend more time adding depth to those things.
Exactly.
Rather than spending like ages making hundreds of perks that then 90% don't get used.
But don't worry, we are still going to test it and make sure that it's good. It's not going to mess anything up there, but it's just that kind of combinations of things, maybe something we haven't thought about, because there's, as we talked about on stream, there are billions of combinations.
There's so many,
So we're just going to kind of just keep a measure of it. So it's almost like a 2-week window of invention, middle of January, as it were. Will the design document be released, says Draketh? If so, when? No. We decided not to, didn't we? Because it was so... For one, we just wanted to get as much done on Invention. But the Invention design document would have been a spreadsheet of perks.
It would have been more than one spreadsheet.
Yeah, it would have
been about 20, I think, different
it
spreadsheets.
It wouldn't have been particularly attractive. I know some of you are probably on stream going, I'd like that spreadsheet. Yeah. I'm an Excel hound. I'd like to look at those and work it all out.
As a team, we want players to generate this themselves after launch. We want them to figure out what disassembles into what material, what perks come from what materials,
that's it. So
what perks do, and let them build up this database of knowledge. I mean, that's kind of the theme of the skill.
And of course, when we did the Elf City design document, we actually removed a lot of the numbers and balancing.
Yeah.
As soon as you get a spreadsheet of perks and you remove the numbers and balancing, because they change over the course of development,
they sound rubbish or really overpowered.
Left. You have pretty much nothing. So we just got to the point where we thought, it's going to be really unsatisfactory, so let's not do it.
I think maybe we can look at launching some of this data after launch.
Yeah.
Like releasing some of these tables, but not for a good long while yet.
Yeah. A Resident, are we going to expect a dev blog for Invention, though? That's something we could do. I mean, it's a nice idea.
That's something you could do.
Oh,
We'll be busy working on the skill.
All right, I'm writing that on my D-pad right now.
Moltaire could do that, really.
We're talking Moltaire.
Moltaire could do that.
Yeah, it's a good point. So a couple of things that people have been picking up on, certainly in my Twitter feed, I don't know if it's been the same for you, is talking about the duplicator. We mentioned this on RuneScape Reveals session, or Updates 2016, whatever we ended up calling it. And it was an item, I think, that was presented that there's a 50-50 chance of duplicating your party hat, basically, is how people were reading into it. Where are we with the duplicator?
We haven't actually started work on it yet.
Yeah.
It's good to nip that in the bud right now, because that isn't final balancing. Rares are probably, definitely things we're not considering for inclusion. I think Moltaire's kind of general rule of thumb was if you can't get it in the game currently, if there's no way to get it, it's not something that will work with the duplicator. These are things that will be readily available to players.
Gotcha. And it's not pure 50-50
No.
We're talking almost like the house always wins, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Obviously, I mean, anything that is in that kind of vein, it has to be biased against wealth gain, really.
Yeah. And the other one that people have been talking about is charges. So we talked about charge packs and how that's going to override pretty much the degrade mechanics on various things, but obviously things degrade in different ways in game. Some of them are very hard or expensive to stop degrading. So people are wary or worried that they're kind of, we're doing something very OP here.
Yeah.
What's our answer on it?
There's a A few points to this is that when you turn a weapon augmented, it stops being tradable, so you've instantly lost its value there.
Yeah, but you can remove the attachments as well.
Currently can't de-augment items.
Okay.
That may be something we do in future,
sure.
But it's not something we're doing initially, at least.
Right.
And the whole cost of charge, you're going to have to gather divine energy to do this, which is either going to cost money or your own time. And you're also going to have to create, effectively make these battery packs, these divine charges that will then replenish things. You're not just paying coins. You're not just going to Bob or POH to do this. So there's an additional time investment there to create the recharges. But again, this is something that we're going to have to just keep an eye on post-launch, and we don't want it to be cheaper. Ideally, I think we want to just unify things. And we'll see how it goes, really.
Well, hopefully that's kind of answered some of the questions that I was getting loads of, so that's going to no longer have anybody to talk to on Twitter. But we've got some concepts, so enough talking, let's show some things. So these are the things that have come through on Invention. All right, I think I've just ambushed everything. I think the guys behind the scenes have been watching Boaty. Here we go, no, sorry, I apologise. Okay, so these are augmented items. This is the weapon, the armour, sorry.
Yep, so we've made good progress on the 150 plus items that can be augmented, and this is what some of them look like. Body armor here, and a selection of weapons. That's not everything, of course.
Yeah. So we had a lot of conversations. One of the biggest kind of issues was whether or not we took over the silhouette with Invention kind of augments. It's like, how much do you show of bolted on kind of cogs and pistons and things like this?
Yeah.
Or do you try to keep the outline and silhouette as it was?
Well, yeah, you do. It has to be recognisable what it is, so you've got a good understanding in PvP of what other people are using. Yeah.
All right, so there we go. Here we go. What's this?
This is a mock-up, so those icons are not final. And
I think that's because we could see a bicycle seat, a paper airplane, a paddle.
Yeah. A table tennis bat, not paddle.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I see where your mind goes. So this is the gizmo interface, we're calling it at the moment. And these are the materials that you would get via disassembly.
So tell me through the story of that. So you're dragging things from the left into the grid and then seeing what you could get in the bottom right?
You're arranging materials in this grid pattern in the top right, and on the bottom right is a list of potential perks that this could generate, which would then be in that gizmo. You'd get 2 perks within a gizmo.
It's like you're forming your own drop table, isn't it?
Effectively, yeah. And you can play around with this, and you can kind of get an idea of what materials generate what perks.
That's it. So disassemble something, start putting it into that grid in the right, you form your own drop table, it rolls on the drop table, you get perks.
Yep, and then you'd have a gizmo that has 2 perks within it, and you would attach that gizmo to one of your augmented weapons or armour.
Don't worry, I'm seeing some of you saying complicated. It'll become second nature, I'm sure.
It's really quite intuitive as a system. It's just drag and drop, and you get an instant output of seeing what you might get, and then you just hit a button.
A lot of people comparing it to a certain Microsoft game, Grid. But it's different because you're kind of creating the possibilities of what you might make. You're not actually creating.
You're not making a pickaxe.
Yeah, you're not making a pickaxe, for example. All right, some more invention questions come from the forums. Will the new defenders be able to be augmented?
Yes.
No.
Not on launch.
Not on launch, but
well,
maybe that kind of.
It's on our list of things to do.
In our window.
It's because people are working on other projects concurrent with us.
Yeah.
It's things that we're flagging, like the elite mob drops as well, that we will have to get round to at some point.
Sure.
Whether or not we can do that for launch.
The aim is to have them augmented.
End of January, they will be augmented at some point. Yeah.
These are desirable 70+ items. It'll be well worth doing. Tyler, will we be able to break down or modify lucky items?
Most likely, yes. You'll be able to break them down, but probably not augment them.
Gotcha. So disassemble them, not augment them. Yeah. Okay, cool. Mr. Callius, will players who are now maxed get daily invention challenges for XP on release?
We're not planning to release any challenges on initial launch. There might be something we add later.
Okay, cool.
And that's like a consideration for all elite skills. We just want to be kind of cautious about how we handle them.
Yeah.
I mean, we may do it in future, but for launch, no.
Yeah. just keep that chase, the high score chase pure
Yep.
for the start kind of thing. Kite, will free-to-play be able to train Invention to level 5 to give them a taste of it? And the answer's probably no,
it's
isn't it?
because it's an elite skill, and one of the requirement skills is a member skill, divination.
Divination.
It's not really viable. In some respects, you're getting that sampling by training those requirement skills to the point where you can then do Invention.
Yeah, good answer. M2 Shake, we know it's an item sink, but to what degree?
Lots.
Lots. Is that, I mean, a lot of people have been asking, is that purely low-level items? Am I just going to be chewing up shield bows?
No, it is everything. Like, so specific high-level items when you disassemble them, produce desirable high-level components.
Yeah. So those kind of rare stuff, the really kind of interesting mechanics.
Generally get the better perks or the high rank perks from these
from the high level
materials.
Yeah. So just disassembling your Drygor, getting a Drygor component. That Drygor component will make an awesome perk.
Yeah.
So
almost guaranteed. So is there going to be? It's more common to get the rare stuff, as it were. Maybe
there is waiting involved.
There is waiting. Yeah.
It won't be guaranteed.
You are more likely to get awesome stuff out of high level items than low level items.
It's worth noting though that you will need a level in Invention equal to or greater than the requirement to wield an item before you can use the materials you get from it.
Gotcha.
So don't like if you
I
break
didn't
your
know
Drygor down on launch, you're not going to be able to
screwed
use
for
it
like
for a long
3
time.
months.
So don't rush out there and disassemble Drygors.
So by some sorcery, a question has just appeared on my iPad. I didn't even know this was possible. I'm like a dad with technology here.
You've got like news coming in.
Yeah, exactly. Wait a minute. Breaking news. Okay, so what about dyed weapons, says Intervention. Or I don't know if that means that there's been an intervention. Wait. No, that's his name.
Or just misspelled Invention.
Yeah, get it right. What about dyed weapons?
As in, can you augment dyed weapons?
Or break them down?
I'm not sure about disassembly. Probably you'll be able to. Again, this isn't a definitive answer yet.
Yeah.
And at launch, I don't believe augmentable. But I mean, these are kind of
Is this something to
cases.
hassle Maltair about on Twitter?
Possibly, yeah. But I mean, we're going to have to be throughout the year keeping up with making sure that
there's going to be a shopping list that comes out at the end of
augmented.
this of people wanting certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't forget about it.
It's not outside the realms of possibility, we'll say.
Okay, I'm just waiting for more questions to appear. Wait 92. Will anything be done to include thrown weapons in Invention? What, Raven?
Okay, right.
Sorry, I'm just amused by the idea of I have augmented this.
Which
Damn!
is exactly why no. You cannot augment thrown weapons.
Yeah.
You will be able to augment thrown weapons that work on a charge system like the Shakrams, the Crystal Shakrams. But to counter this, there are a range of devices that are higher-tiered thrown weapons.
That's it. So there is something in Invention for thrown weapons. That's cool. That is cool. Samir, will there be more player polls or rune labs for Invention? Oh, hey. Sorry. In next year, we want to do more polls. Rune Labs is kind of almost focused on, well, I mean, it's the Guardians month. You guys have a month on creating an area based on Rune Labs suggestions. So that's really where Rune Labs is focusing. But polls, we want to do more in the new year. Whether or not they're Invention-based will all be after the Invention launch and whether or not it's on a per-project basis. I mean, I've gone to each of the product owners and said, like, would really like more polls for next year. So, you know, if there's anything that in your update could warrant a poll. So do expect more in the new year, but not necessarily before then. So maybe Invention kind of rewards that go for, you know, like blisterwood weapons for a vampire finale, for example, might be polled in some way.
Yeah. The crucial thing about Invention is that it creates this new reward space for us to fill. So we can do themed tech trees or individual items attached to a new quest that we bring out in new areas.
Yeah.
It's something we can drip feed out, and those individual projects can have their own polls accordingly.
Yeah. Got a great question from Zach Hank. Personally, I don't like the look of Invention.
Great question.
19th to 20th century steampunk doesn't seem to fit in a medieval fantasy game. With this in mind, how will RuneScape balance this new update for players who fancy more of a medieval look and medieval technology?
I disagree that it doesn't fit into a medieval fantasy game, with the emphasis on fantasy. I think steampunk has been included in those sorts of thematics in the past in other games.
I think it's also been slightly unfortunate some of the concepts that we've shown because there has been, like Cyborg,
been a bias
Chinchompa,
overly technological things.
That's it, almost like a Mass Effect style Chinchomper. It's not. We're moving away from that. You've seen already the augmented items. They are subtle. They're not dominating the outline of the weapon or armor.
Yeah, I mean, I sympathise with this kind of viewpoint that people want to keep that more medieval aspect.
Yeah.
And maybe there are things that we can do to aid that, but we're not. These are the kind of back burner ideas that we're just going to have to launch the skill first, perhaps, and see how players respond to it as a whole.
But I think, Zach Hank, you've got lots of people fighting your cause on this one, don't worry.
And you may be one of them.
Yeah, don't worry about it, maybe so. Okay, so on to some more concepts.
Oh,
yes. What is that?
Okay, so these are two of the core items that you need to do Invention. These will be handed out as part of the tutorial. We've pretty much finished plugging in the Invention slot on the tool belt, so that's where these will reside. They're kind of your tinkerer's tools, and the bag of materials is that interface that we saw.
So it's kind of hammering home that Invention is very kind of bank friendly, I guess. You're still going to be creating augmented items.
We're creating hundreds and hundreds of new things, but a fair chunk of that is going to be stored in var bits rather than
people are disassembling
variables.
things anyway, so they're going to be breaking stuff up. Plus, materials aren't in the bank.
Yep, they're just stored in an inventory like that. Yep.
Okay. So was there more concepts? Let's have a look. Just those two. Oh, okay. Sorry. More questions are appearing. This magic. But there's been a lot of. This is Jengi. There's been a lot of discussion on the HLF on whether or not you'll need 99 or 120 Invention to wear the Max Cape and enter the Max Guild. What's your plan?
It's already implemented, and it's very easy to remember that it works exactly like the Dungeoneering skill.
Yeah.
So
in
99,
almost every instance.
99 for the Max Cape and entry to the Guild Tower. 120 for trim and comp.
Cool. Mr. Luke, will Port's gear, more specifically the superior versions, have any uses in Invention?
Yeah. Yes, they will. I believe you can disassemble them, and also you can augment them, so they'll be very useful.
Yep, I think we had a recent mass QA test of disassembly, and there are certain things that came out of that we need to make augmentable and disassemblable still. Port's gear was one of those fringe cases that we caught that we need to add.
Yeah. I'm getting loads from the feed, so thanks for this, guys. Hashtagging RSDevQA. Will we be able to sell augmented equipment?
It's not tradable.
Right. Eridin, how far along has the concept of customizing appearance of our characters and their equipment come along, if at all?
We showed all of the augment stuff.
There was a point where it was kind of like customizing it with maybe its name, maybe even colouring in bits with my. That's not really part of it, is it? We have talked about maybe colour.
It's fair to. So first off, I think Mortea suggested that we should probably not disassociate, but all of the stuff we showed at RuneFest before.
Was it 2013? I think
2013.
Yeah.
Those were kind of formative ideas, and like some of those things haven't made the final cut, at least not for initial launch.
Yeah.
So like item naming is something that's currently off the table.
Yeah.
But
the amount of work going into it, which we can focus on getting more perks, getting more utility out of the skill.
Yeah. We've been discussing things like the recoloring of the augment, the little cog things on weapons and armor, and some other cosmetic things that we could potentially do.
Sweet. Centripetal, will Dungeoneering have a role in Invention?
There will be, I'm not even sure if they're available for launch yet, but there are some devices that were intended to function in Dungeoneering.
Yeah, I think we showed a couple at RuneFest.
The auto mapper.
Yeah, exactly. And they mentioned the auto mapper, which will give you an immediate representation of the map.
There's no addition to Dungeoneering as there was with Divination yet.
Yeah.
So you can't disassemble
but I know
items.
That I've seen a design for it, so that does exist. It may well come. If you don't know this, there's also an Invention Batch 2, which comes out later on in the year. I was almost going to say it then.
Not in January.
Not in January. When we were talking about a guild, when we were talking about the new two new tech trees, machines.
Yeah.
This is really substantive stuff. Okay.
But Chaotix will be augmentable.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's something they take from Dungeoneering and use
Don't
outside.
forget that.
Karim Azus, will you need higher than level 80 in divination, smithing, and crafting to progress the skill?
No, that's it. When you've got them,
as soon as you hit unlocked Doesn't matter what else you've got levels in. Cool. Air Alter, how many perks can we expect with Invention?
As many as we can do by January.
That's a fair answer.
Yeah. We're talking a fair few, though. I mean, you saw a kind of representative list. That
we kind
RuneFest.
of, I think we had a RuneFest. It was a list of around 150 that we were looking at.
Yeah.
Since RuneFest, there are a number that we've seen we have to reconsider. Some we've had to cut back on because they're just not going to work.
Yeah.
From the remaining list, we're about maybe a third of the way through.
Yeah.
And we'll just see
There's
at launch.
plenty of time.
But
Christmas.
this is the idea with making January a focus, is that initial launch is perhaps going to be quite low in depth, more in breadth, and then that depth will come later in January and then throughout the rest of the year.
Okay.
So at the moment, we're churning out perks as fast as we can and gradually losing the will to live.
No, don't say it, Stu. Brazinger, will Invention have lore on release, and will it affect the Quest Master Cape when that is released?
I think it's something we're going to have to explore narratively through other content after release.
Yeah, and also Batch 2, because it's so tied to the guild,
and
the player being a pioneer with it, kind of guild masters or mates.
There
whatever you
aren't
want to call
really
them.
any characters. I think the only NPC we have at the moment is the Cape Seller.
Yeah.
And that's what you really need to start with.
Yeah.
I mean, there will be some narrative within the tutorial.
Yeah.
But mostly that has to be a tutorial.
Yeah.
So I think we should wait until we've got the space to have proper story around this.
Yeah. I think we're being very lucky, but the January update will still be substantial.
Oh, yeah.
And there'll be lots of content, more than enough to get you up to 99 and beyond. So please don't feel that, a lot we're saying is, we're saving that for later, There's still some good stuff in there. What else have I got? Should we go to some concepts? What do you say? Let's have a look at some concepts. All right, take us through.
All right, so these were the thrown devices that we were talking about earlier. So you can't augment thrown weapons, but we're creating some new thrown weapons, effectively.
And it shows how the different tech trees will affect kind of the look of things. The different things we're going for. So Dwarven, very Industrial Revolution. Cave Goblin, very Tesla-like. Thundergraph generators, all that sort of thing. And humans, they
kind of like ascended, based on the divine energy more.
Yeah, we kept talking about lava lamps. That
you kept talking about lava lamps.
I just like the idea of moving juices around a weapon. We got a little bit of that.
So rude.
What?
These are just completed today, in fact. So this is Mod Demo's been modelling these.
Hot off the press.
Hot off the press, yeah. So he's just made these this afternoon.
Yeah.
This is before any feedback rounds, so this is just the initial
So just
model.
an idea of the tools we're using and how we work with things, I guess. Okay.
These are interesting. These are the accumulators we have for fishing, mining and wood cutting. These are effectively...
The anti-urns.
Anti-urns. So anytime an urn doesn't collect something, these things will kind of take some readings and they'll teleport away once they're filled up, just like urns.
Yeah, and you've done these. I've seen these in sprint reviews.
Yeah, these are done.
Yeah.
Look, these are in place.
Yeah, cool. All right. Oh my god.
That guy looks amazing.
Right, I need to draw my eye to the bottom left. What is that?
This is the fabled Monkey Butler.
The mind-controlled Monkey Butler.
Yeah. So I don't recall exactly what he was, but he was demon level POH servant.
Yes.
But
with some free aspects, is that right?
There was something additional about him, but I think
Yeah.
being a capuchin, I think that is.
Yeah.
We need to add some other negative aspects to him too.
That's it.
Just
It starts plagues.
to balance his out.
Yeah, okay.
balance him out.
So there's the automapper we just talked about.
Yep.
About that. So no need to go over that. So the Chinchomper. So this is what people have been picking up on the kind of the steampunk
Yeah, this is
look.
probably more towards the extreme.
There's more leather on that now, isn't there? Kind of leather and plating. So
It looks
it's
more
kind of-
plated rather than...
with the divination kind of motif. We got that light green across the board.
From the Chinchomper implementation, we did add a parameter to objects that it's alive. So you can't disassemble things that are alive. Just
Right.
I see all the calls to PETA there. We
So
don't want
do we know what the
cruelty to
Chinchomper does?
Chinchompers are. That is
Explodes
a
bigger.
higher level thrown item.
Yeah. So just ramping up
Explodes
existing.
in a shower
top
of
end.
cogs and springs and such.
And that hat.
The man with the
That
hat.
And the
perhaps.
man, yeah, there were a few cosmetic things that you can make too,
Yeah.
like a hat and a lab coat and things
So
like
we've got
that.
some status, kind of prestige.
Yeah,
Can you make a monocle? Want a monocle in RuneScape?
Once you've both spoken.
maybe they can come from mammoths.
Mammoths. Drop monocles.
Are they willing to part with their monocles?
I think only one of them. I can't spoiler anything. Monocles, mammoths.
But the mammoths are looking great,
Moving
aren't
on. Yes.
Yes. So we've got an ice shelf and everything.
Yeah, so we've got the ice
Breath
shelf.
of the
We've got the. They've now been textured and they look awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Poor old Mod Nils had to go through and do everything by hand, drawing out every individual woolly hair. So appreciate them when they're
He's
out.
drawing hair at the moment. That's what you do with character artists. But it feels bad teasing that one because that's not the next one, is it? So we got.
No, next is Ripper Demons.
So we have the Rippers. So I think we're working through in the poll, aren't we? Actually, it's in order of how they finished in the poll.
So it should be Ripper Demons, Camel Warriors, Mammoths.
Yes.
I think.
I'm pretty sure that is it.
I'm fairly certain that's the right way around. Otherwise, we're not releasing them in the right order.
And if people have been dying or saying that the Wyverns are a bit cruel, I think the Ripper Demons.
Wait till they do the Ripper Demons.
The Ripper Demons are unforgiving, to say the least. Yep. So that's it. Introduce permadeath with Ripper Demons. No, we haven't. Okay, so more questions on Invention. So more has been coming through. There was about 5 questions here when I last looked at my iPad. There are now 20. So we're going to rattle through some. So Artemis, can we have mini quests to unlock some high-tier Invention content that can get influenced by how you do the quest?
You certainly can, but not on launch.
It's a nice idea.
Yeah.
I think that invariably Invention is going to. We want it to feel like a skill, so it's going to have quests that require it, which is obviously going to be quite steep. Those will be Grandmaster, obviously.
Yeah. Like we said, it creates a space for future content.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Airalter, what is your favourite perk and why?
Oh, it's hard to do this without spoilers. I'm going to say the first perk that I really liked is the Committed perk, which as soon as you equip the item that has the perk on it, skulls you.
No, right.
And then that doesn't go away it won't go away as long as you have that item equipped.
Yeah.
But when you take it off, you got the 20 minutes before it goes away.
Yeah.
There are
Darkscape in RuneScape.
Since that, that was one of the first ones I did. Since that, I've implemented some other things that I prefer, but I don't want to talk about right now.
Basically, just a chance to get creative.
Yeah.
You've been doing arrays of
crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a weird.
It's quite nice because you've
week.
sent an email out to all of the team. Do you want to contribute to these crazy perks? Do you want to add some dialogue and things like that? Might give a hint, but and people have been helping out, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, the quirky perks are certainly the most fun to implement so far. They may not be very good for player utility, but we certainly enjoyed implementing them. Yeah. As in terms of my favourite, I'd probably just go with the Demon Slayer perk because every time I say Demon Slayer, I know it'll party your soul dies.
Danklight.
Another 2% dies. Do you want to explain Demon Slayer? Well,
it's one of the ones that are rather more straightforward. It enhances your damage against demons.
Yeah, so we were just imagining people kind of fine-tuning and creating their own Danklights. I think every time somebody says Danklight, I think a day from your life goes, doesn't it?
I get another grey hair.
Yeah. Will we get a new equipment slot with Invention? Asked Wolvian.
No.
Effectively, you're getting new top-level interface stuff. I mean, you're getting your... the thing that you drag from your inventory into the Invention pouch.
Yeah, so there's the disassembly thing that sits near to the ALK.
Which is worth mentioning that ALK is...
Yeah, that's one thing Mod Olo's done is drag and drop alchemy. So you can just move from inventory to this new icon and it just does it.
And it's a similar user flow for disassembly. You drag it down to the Invention pouch.
Additions to the player examine interface so you can see what augmented items other people have, what perks they have. Yeah. Things like that.
Hylian Canna, what would happen if you disassembled a P-hat? I think it's what everybody's really wondering.
Do we have P components? P materials?
Oh, the P-hat.
The P-hat.
The April
From
Fool's
Bianca.
P-hat.
What sort of P perks would that create? I don't know. I think that's one of the things you can't disassemble currently.
Yeah, I guess it's technically a living thing, wouldn't it? A P-hat. So, I mean, are we covering vegetables in there as well?
I think we dragged that one out as far as we can. Do you recall?
I can't recall. I must admit, I don't know if you recall either. What about you, Mod Raven? Do you
I
recall?
think Malta said that you could disassemble it, but if you did, the basic response would be, "Are you sure?" And then it's junk.
Yeah,
it just
goes to junk, but there's a warning on there.
Yeah.
But I think then we've had a change of heart to say we don't want anyone to do this accidentally. So
don't worry, there will be all sorts of warnings and confirmations on high-level items, just as you do with dropping.
That relies on people reading the warnings.
Well, true. Yeah.
So,
will an Invention be released in Darkscape 2? Says Foldish.
Probably not.
I don't think so. Yeah, it would have to be something that the community all agreed on and
Yeah.
then put in.
Darkscape
Yes.
is very much divergent from RuneScape
Yeah,
now.
exactly. It's like a little kind of.
Last week they were saying it's going to depend on the community and depend on what they want to do and how
So,
they feel.
yeah.
Since it's a big update, it is quite likely that
Okay.
it could come into the game.
All right, you may not have heard that, but that was off screen.
News just in.
Yeah, news just in. So the people from Darkscape, it was asked on their stream. So it's going to be very much based on the community. They'll take some work to add it if they do determine that they want it. So go for it. Let them know. Something's being written. Oh, I love it. Will we see upcoming?
I love you, Mod Osborne.
The fact I will read whatever is on there, like Anchorman.
Yeah.
And Ron Burgundy. He's just going to read it out.
And go.
Will there be any links between your POH and the Invention Guild, or maybe a new POH room?
Well, the guild isn't part of the January release, and
That's later in the year, isn't it?
Yeah.
As planned. I mean, things might change. But it takes kind of a feel of the POH, in that you've got hotspots, it's personalisable, that sort of thing. But there's no direct link to POH, I don't believe.
No, it's a separate space. It will probably work in a similar way to POH's.
Yeah. You might have construction
Well, I
machines,
mean,
plank makers maybe, but
That's to be determined.
yeah.
I mean, it may well have a connection when it comes to being made.
Yeah. Can you disassemble third age items? That's from Leuven RS.
I spoke to Maltair about this, and I believe treasure trail items as a whole can be disassembled.
Yeah.
And there is a certain material that can only be gained from treasure trail items.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing from treasure trail items as well.
Yeah.
Currently, we may do more such that, if they're the trimmed Black Knight armor, might also break down into other materials that you'd get from normal
Yeah.
black armor, but we haven't. We've left that out for now, and it's just treasure trail
Sure.
goes to certain material.
I noticed on the feed somebody asking about soul weapons. Are we going to be able to get soul weapons or break them up?
Well, that's part of the things that we showed at RuneFest
That's it, 2013. Yeah.
So we've, again, disassociated from that exact thing. But this is one of those perks that I've been working on recently that Stu's contributed something to as well there.
Yeah, it's a spiritual successor, haha.
Yeah. There's some weird dialogue somewhere.
Sweet.
Wrong dialogue.
All right. Okay, so we're going to drop Invention for the moment and move on to Elite Skills, because it's not only about Invention, but it gives us the prospect of releasing focused on high-level skills in the future. So we've got some questions on Elite Skills, and of course you're the man.
Elite Skills man.
You're Elite Skills man. So Dr. Sid, PhD, congratulations on your doctorate.
Yeah, congratulations.
Invention has been addressed and advertised an Elite skill, presumably directed towards the Elite community. What other updates, additions, and/or expansions can we see regarding Elite skills in the future?
Well, you've already talked about the guilds and the machines and the.
I think more specifically about maybe like Elite skills. Sorry, not specifically with Invention, but are there plans for more Elite skills?
Yes,
Yeah.
there are.
Yeah.
There are plans.
There are plans for more Elite skills. I don't want to talk too much because they
So-
might kill me.
Well, it's one of the things we can reveal, and we showed some of the survey results from showed them last week. And one of the things that was asked was, how frequently would you like skills to be launched? And over 50% of people said every 2 years.
Every 2 years, yeah.
So that was really revealing to us. So there was me getting really excited about the prospect of releasing an Elite skill every year, because we might be able to now, because changing the format and things. I think it's kind of pushed us a little bit further away from that. I think people want to hold on to their comp, their max, have a little bit of
a breathing
space. But I mean, it's coming out to start the year. Could conceivably happen towards the end of 2017.
Yeah.
But we do like a lot of the Elite skill ideas, and we put some forward in the survey, and some of them did really, really well.
Necromancer did very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Slayer, as a Slayer style Elite skill, also did really well. We kind of mixed that up with 120. Another one, Jammy.
Oh.
Jammy. What makes player-owned ports not an Elite skill?
Because you don't get experience.
But as a model, I mean, it's not too far off an Elite skill.
It's kind of like an early idea for what an Elite skill could have been, but instead it was
Yeah.
sort of asynchronous
But Ports has
gameplay.
been good. I mean, as a kind of test bed, it was like, people like it, I like it.
Yeah.
So it just shows what can be done. But it's very interface driven. I don't think we'd necessarily do that.
Yeah, it was certainly part of the reasoning why we should make Elite skills.
Yeah.
Like this high-level Elite content that people engage with and love.
Yeah.
They give a different style of gameplay and that sort of thing. it's not quite a skill because there's not enough gameplay in player imports.
Yeah, I think that
Like-
there would have been in some kind of dungeoneering, more so than dungeoneering
Yeah, exactly,
action
yeah.
if it was released as a skill.
If there was some sort of gameplay to actually like building your boat and
Yeah,
recruiting a crew properly, like
that's it. I think you can see in Invention, there's a lot of variety in how it's trained and what you do. So we'd want to have that kind of variety in that gameplay in an elite skill if we did it. Now, just this is purely for me because I love the slides so much. So this is from the Invention and RuneFest talk. It's all the elite skills that were suggested via Rune Labs. I just wanted to take a moment to just kind of enjoy it again and have you guys pick out your favourites. And then we've got a little straw poll that follows this.
when that came up during my talk at RuneFest, I just couldn't do anything.
There was no point talking,
The
was there?
entire room was just like, I'm done. I'm going to spend all the time reading these and do nothing else.
Sorry, I just saw cheese rolling. I'm done. Got my favourite.
So who introduced cheese rolling to the game?
That was me.
And therefore also in the beach by proxy. Yeah, there's some interesting ones there. I didn't limit or take out any of these. As soon as I saw an elite skill idea on Rune Labs, I just added it
Put
to
it
this
in,
list.
For me,
So it's not been filtered.
it'd have to be
Equestrian.
something like martial arts or boxing, that kind of no weapon fighting.
Fisticuffs.
Fisticuffs.
Yeah.
Well, you may have foreseen exactly one of the
Great
entries
segue.
on the poll.
I'm sorry, the fetching skill is
Fetching.
just the bestest
I
thing.
don't know if somebody's just forgotten the L in fletching. But I really like it. Okay, so it's just a bit of fun. We're going to do a straw poll. These are, I was going to say our 5 favourites, but it's blatantly me. It's definitely mine. I put together my 5 favourite from the list. So what would you like us to work on from this list? And the list is archaeology, exploration, so far so sensible, fisticuffs, monster catching, and sky pirate. Those are my favourites. Top 5. So, like, in all honesty, which one would you like us to make most in RuneScape? This isn't going to happen necessarily, by the way. It's just those are the ones that really stand out to me.
How is Sky Pirate a skill? Sky Piracy?
Pirate.
But Sky Pirate? It's just like...
Just floating airships and...
Well, that would be Sky Piracy, not Sky Pirate.
Not Sky Pirate.
That would be an individual person. You go, hey.
I don't know then. Maybe
You'd
it's
be
recording
your-
things off the telly and selling it to people.
From Sky, yeah. Nice.
Sorry, that's terrible. So,
Sky Captain and the World Guardian of Tomorrow.
yeah, wait a minute. This is brilliant. So yeah, let us know, and who knows, maybe it'll be made in some future time. Okay, general questions.
In bizarro RuneScape land 20 years ago, 20 years later.
Not grabbing at poll ideas at all. See, I told you, people like the idea of recording things off the telly. That's good. So at the moment, obviously it's very early doors, but 157 votes, 31% of the vote is Sky Pirate, with archaeology a close second.
I'm so glad archaeology
At
is second.
144 and 28%.
I'm so
vote.
hyped for archaeology.
Yeah, you liking the idea?
Yeah.
But I really like it. I think that could make a viable skill, to be honest. Okay, so we'll catch up with that a little bit later. But general questions. Are there going to be rewards for the prestige kill count system?
I literally put a job in this week for the Ninja team to add a quick chat.
Oh,
How many
right.
times you've prestiged a certain thing. So
That makes a lot of sense. So there will be something visible.
yeah, it won't be out next week, but it'll be out soon. TM.
Can we get an update on the option to train just attack and strength at the same time with melee? This sounds like Kelpie promised something.
Maybe.
I wonder if Kelpie's watching.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Watch.
feeling the love right now, even if he's not. A little
Sing like
glow.
help you can.
He spam
Yeah.
his Twitter at least.
When is the expected release of the 15-year anniversary?
When we get to 15 years in January.
So I think officially it's the 4th of January.
Yeah.
We've got some, don't worry, we've got some stuff for then. But really, what we'd like you to think of is the whole of the year as an anniversary, and we're going to have some special stuff throughout. What's the year? 2016. Thanks.
2016.
I have the God Book of Zamorak in the keepsake box. What will happen to it if it becomes a pocket item?
So the current idea is you can put it in your pocket slot, but also still wear it.
Sweet.
So nothing will happen.
Right.
Because you'll be able to switch them between pocket slot and wearable.
Yeah. Are you ready, Timbo?
Oh, it's Timber time.
It's Timbo time. It really is Timbo time. So if we could
Oh, yeah.
man the cameras, because I don't want Timbo to feel like we love Kelpie more than Timbo. Timbo time, tree killer.
Oh wow,
Timbo.
you're really just changing the camera.
There
Fantastic.
it is. There it is. Delicious. Okay, are you ready? Can you increase the buy limit on Barrow's amulets from 10 to 100 plus?
Maybe.
Can we get a monkey omni gree?
No. Stop suggesting that. It's not happening. Every Reddit thread every week, it's like, oh, God damn it.
There's some guy who I just love turning into monkeys.
I know, it's one of your monkey at all times.
Oh. You said you'd look into the Extreme Dominion medallion, Timbo, and Chaos Giants on previous streams. What happened to these?
They are in our backlog.
Can we expect more ninja fixes to balance and improve free-to-play combat?
Not necessarily balance, but we do have plans for free-to-play combat.
Cool. Auto-retaliate doesn't work on monsters if the monsters are unable to damage the player. E.g., if the player has a super anti-dragon fire potion active, the player will not automatically retaliate in response to dragon fire breath. Can this be changed?
So I thought this was fixed, and Manti just walked in. Why isn't it fixed, Manti?
Don't make me read that again.
Or retaliate on Dragonfire. I thought that was fixed already. Yeah.
So we think it's fixed. Do let us know via social.
I mean, the question does say other means as well.
Oh right. Okay.
If there are any other means, just let us know on Reddit, and we'll fix them as we see them.
Is it possible to change it so we don't need to unequip our Jack of Trades before being rewarded?
No.
Could players be allowed to choose to marry either the prince or the princess in Throne of Miscellanea? Mod Raven?
I've got a tap project with that fix in it.
Oh really?
Yeah, I worked in it previously. It's not necessarily working. I've not tested it, but I have done a fix to allow that change.
How fascinating. Okay, it's Rainbow Raven time. Could the Rune Mysteries Magic XP reward be changed to a lamp?
Yes.
That's it. That's the
wow.
end of Timbo time. You have done mildly well. Well done.
I only said one no. Suck it, Kelpie.
Just promise things.
I just said maybe instead.
So there we go. So let's go back to the straw poll. Sky Pirate has won, 182 votes, 31%. Fisticuffs is bottom. What kind of conspiracy is this? With only 66 votes. I really could see Fisticuffs like kind of improving your...
Yeah, learning some new techniques from the Eastern lands.
Yeah, a Bible thing that you don't have weapons, you actually go...
Yeah.
Proper fisticuffs. So I don't know why. What was that? I realised I was carrying both a microphone and an iPad, so doing fisticuffs was pointless.
Well, that's wielding. That's not an
and
arm.
monster catching really low with 85 votes, 40%.
I'm surprised at monster catching. I thought that would be higher.
It's kind of similar to Hunter, though, isn't it?
I suppose.
But
yeah.
I think there's that implicit thing. If you caught a monster, now you can use it or ride it or.
I think we need to bring Fossil Island out first. So we've got some dinosaurs to ride.
Yeah, you need dinosaur riding. Yeah. That is true. Dragon riding was on that sheet at one point. Okay, I seem to be deleting things. Okay, so that is our Invention stream. As mentioned before, there will be another Invention stream before launch. Probably be some behind-the-scenes videos as well, so you can find out a little bit more. Any questions that you've got now, send them through and we'll save them up for that live stream. But thank you very much, guys, for chatting away today. And in a beautiful segue, what we're going to do now is we're going to move directly on to the next stream. Apparently we can have a break, but I think we're okay. I think we're going to go straight for it. So thank you very much, guys. A little kind of round of applause to you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully you enjoyed that. Now what we're going to do is PK 101 with me and Mod Manti, where Mod Manti is going to teach me how to PK in Darkscape and start putting your bets on how many times I die now. All right. Thank you very much if you're just here for Invention. Cheers, guys. All right.
You have to keep waving
Natural segue. I'm off.
You have to keep waving until this.
Do you want an iPad?
Oh, yeah. Oh, sweet.